Writing is one of the most easy, pain-free, and happy ways to pass time in all of the arts. Right now, I'm sitting in my rose garden and tapping on my new computer. Each rose represents a story, so I am never at a loss for what to write. I just look deep into the heart of the rose and read its story and write it down through typing, which I enjoy anyway. I could be typing KJFIU, JOE, WMV, JIW, and would enjoy it as much as typing words that actually make sense. I simply relish the movement of my fingers on the keys. Sometimes it is true, agony visits the head of a writer. At these moments, I stop writing and relax with a coffee at my favorite restaurant, knowing that words can be changed, rethought, fiddled with, and of course, ultimately denied. Painters don't have that luxury. If they go to a coffee shop, their paint dries into a hard mass. Location, location, location. I would recommend to writers that they live in California because here they can look at the blue sky. In between those moments of looking into the heart of a rose, I feel sorry for writers, and there are some pretty famous ones, who live in places like South America and Czechoslovakia, where I imagine it gets pretty dreary. These writers are easy to spot. Their books are often depressing and filled with disease and negativity. If you want to write about disease, I would suggest that California is the place to do it. Dwarfism is never funny, but look at the result when it's dealt with out here in California. 7 happy dwarves. Can you imagine 7 dwarves in Czechoslovakia? You get 7 melancholic dwarves at best. 7 melancholic dwarves with no handicap space. Parking spaces. Love in the Time of Cholera. Why it's a bad title. I admit that Love in the Time of is a great title so far. You're reading along, you're happy, it's about love. I love like the way that word time comes in there. It's sometimes something nice in the association of love and time. Like a new word almost, love time. Nice. Nice. Suddenly the morbid cholera appears. I was happy till then. Love in the Time of the Oozing Sores and Pustules is probably an earlier rejected title of this book, written in a rat-infested treehouse in an old Smith Corona. This writer, whoever he is, could have used a couple of weeks in the Pacific Daylight Time. I did a little experiment. I decided to take the following disheartening passage, which was no doubt written in some depressing place, and attempt to rewrite it under the influence of California. Most people deceive themselves with a pair of faiths. They believe in eternal memory of people, things, deeds, nations. In redressability of deeds, mistakes, sins, wrongs. Both are false faiths. In reality, the opposite is true. Everything will be forgotten and nothing will be redressed. Milan Kundera. Sitting in my garden, as the bees glide from flower to flower, I let the above paragraph filter through my mind. The following new paragraph emerged. I feel pretty, oh so pretty. I feel pretty and witty and bright. Kundera was just too wordy. Sometimes the delete key is your greatest friend. Writer's block, a myth. Writer's block is a famous term made up by whiners so they can have an excuse to drink alcohol. Sure, a writer can get stuck for a while, but that happens with the real writers. They simply go out and get in a quote-unquote as told to. The alternative is to hire yourself out as an quote-unquote as heard from, thus taking all the credit. It's also much more easier to write when you have someone to quote-unquote bounce with. This is someone to sit in a room with and exchange ideas. It is good if the last name of the person you chose to bounce with is Salinger. I know a certain early 20th century French writer whose initials were MP, but who could have used a good bounce person. If he had, his title might have been more correct. Remembering past things is instead of the clumsy one he used. The other trick I use when I have a momentary stoppage is virtually foolproof, and I'm happy to pass it along. Go to an already published novel and find a sentence you absolutely adore. Copy it down in your manuscript. Usually that sentence will lead you naturally to another sentence. Pretty soon your own ideas will start to flow. If they don't, copy down the next sentence. You can safely use up to 3 sentences of someone else's work, unless they're friends, then you can use 2. The odds of being found out are very slim, and even if you are, there's no jail time. Creating memorable characters. Nothing will make your writing soar more than a memorable character. If there is a memorable character, the reader will go back to the book, picking it up, turning it over in his hands, hefting it, tossing it into the air. Here is an example of the jazzy uplift that vivid characters can offer. Some guys were standing around when in came this guy. You are now on your way to create a memorable character. You've set him up as being a guy, and with that come all the reader's ideas of what a guy is. Soon you will liven up your character by using an adjective. But this guy was no ordinary guy. He was a red guy. This character, the red guy, is now popped into the reader's imagination. He's a full-blown person with hopes and dreams, just like the reader, especially if the reader is a red guy. Now, you might want to give the character a trait. You can inform the reader of the character trait in one of 2 ways. First, simply say what that trait is. For example, quote, "But this red guy was different from most red guys. This red guy liked frappes," unquote. The other is rooted in action. Have the red guy walk up to a bar and order a frappe, as in, "What do you have, red guy?" "I'll have a frappe." Once you have mastered these 2 concepts, vivid character writing combined with adjectives, you are on your way to becoming the next Shakespeare's brother. And don't forget to copyright any ideas you might have that might be original. You don't want to be caught standing by helplessly while a familiar quote-unquote red guy steps up to a bar in a frappe commercial. Writing dialogue. Many fine writers, very fine writers, are intimidated when they have to write the way people really talk. Actually, it's quite easy. Simply lower your IQ by 50 and start typing. Subject matter. Because topics are in such short supply, I've provided a few for writers who may be suffering in darker climes. File some of these away and look through them during the suicidal winter months. Naked Belligerent Panties. This is a good sexy title with a lot of promise. How about a diet book that suggests your free radicals don't enter ketosis until your insulin levels have been carbocharged? Something about how waves at the beach just keep coming and coming, and how amazing it is. I smell a bestseller here. Visions of melancholy from a fast-moving train. Some foreign writer is right now rushing to his keyboard, ready to pound on it like Horowitz. However, this is a title. This title is a phony string of words with no meaning and would send your poor book to the artsy section of Barnes & Noble where, guess what? It would languish and be remaindered and die. A word to avoid. Dag nabbit will never get you anywhere with the Booker Prize. People lose it. Getting published. I have 2 observations about publishers. 1, nowadays they can either be male or female. 2, they love to be referred to by the appropriate pronoun. If your publisher is male, refer to him as he. If your publisher is female, she is considered more correct. Once you have established a rapport, babe is also acceptable for either sex. Once you have determined your pronoun usage, you are ready to schmooze your publisher. Let's say your favorite author is Dante. Call Dante's publisher and say you'd like to invite both of them to lunch. If the assistant says something like, But Dante's dead. Be sympathetic, like, please accept my condolences. Once at lunch, remember never to be moody. Publishers like up happy writers, although it's never it's impressive to suddenly sweep your arm suddenly across the lunch table, dumping all the plates and food on the floor while shouting, Sic semper tyrannis. A demonstration of actual writing. It is easy to talk about writing and even easier to do it. Watch. Call me Ishmael. It was cold, very cold, here in the mountain town of Kilimanjaroville. I could hear a bell. It was tolling. I knew exactly for who it was tolling for, too. It was tolling for me. Ishmael Twist. A red guy who likes frappe. Author's note. I'm now stuck. I walk over to a rose and look into his heart. That's right. Ishmael Twist. Finally, I can't overstress the importance of having a powerful closing sentence.